Have you ever had one of those interactions with someone where you come away feeling like you've got really low self-esteem and you just have a ton of self-doubt as a result of the interaction? And then when you come away from it and you question yourself or you question the interaction in isolation and you say, why is it that I feel so rubbish about this? And all you can pinpoint it to is the fact that someone else did or said something to you that made you feel that way. And that's why you're just kind of carrying around this weighted burden, and then there's nothing you can do about it. You're just stuck with this negative mood. If you've had that kind of interaction, I'd love to hang out with you here just for a few minutes to share with you a really easy to apply process as to how you can go through the stages that resulted in that feeling in a slightly alternative manner and find yourself in a much more powerful and confident position as a result of those sorts of interactions. If that's of interest to you, then stick with me here. My name is Tessa, and I teach quiet confidence, which is a way of tapping into your innate power and confidence and bringing it out in everyday life in a way that actually works for you. So this process I want to share with you. If you think about the process that you go through, say you're at the end of the process and that's your feeling of self-doubt and being low on self-esteem. Then what happens is you naturally come back a step and you question, how did you get there? And then that brings you to a place of thinking. So you're trying to process and judge and measure the thoughts that took you to that feeling. But what's interesting, there's a stage that precedes the thoughts that led to the feelings that we so often forget to tap into. And it's a place of great trust and accountability, and it's why it's at the core of how we end up feeling. And it's because it's our own words. It's our own language. It's the thoughts that we process and stick in our own heads. And it's the words and the syntax and the vocabulary and the pace and the tone of voice that we have in our head. That's where that feeling starts. It starts with words and language. So if I think of a negative interaction with someone, because of the way man has evolutionary created a habitual way to process interactions in a matter of milliseconds, because we had to do that at the beginning of time. We had to do that to stay safe, to avoid pain, to find pleasure. In a matter of milliseconds, we can go from here's the outcome of the interaction, I feel low on myself, and then I come really, really fast back to my words and I say something like, I can't believe they just said that to me. If that's what they said to me, then they must really think so little of my existence and my value, and the way I choose to feel about that is rubbish. Now you can see how fast I processed that interaction, that example of an interaction. The truth is, if I slow it down slightly and I start back at the beginning with the words, what did I just say to myself? I said, if that's how they think of me, then they must think so low of my value in the world. So there's a big question there, if. So that's an important one. Did they think that of me? Did they actually say that? Or did I process something in that way to come to that conclusion? Were the words specific? And even if the words were specific and they really did say that harsh thing to me, does it matter? Is that their judgment? Is that based on their value of the world? Is it based on how they feel about themselves? Or did I process it in that way because it's come from a place of fear? Did someone else say that to me last week and I'm feeling kind of sensitive about it? Or maybe it triggered something, some place of self-doubt in me, and it's nothing to do with them. Whatever it is, however you came up with the words in your head that kind of sounded really self-destructive, you can get to question them when you go through this process. What were the words I chose? What do they mean to me? Then you get to the place of thinking again. You can go backwards. You can go back through those stages. When you get to the thinking stage after the words, how did I judge those words? What kind of measuring did I do to measure up those words against my values? Does it matter? If it matters, what do I want to do about it now? How do I want to process those thoughts? Maybe I can just talk to them about it and get clear on what they said and why they said it. Maybe I can question myself about it. What did I say? At what point was I accountable for that interaction? Is it something I didn't said? Did I not realise I was in a certain mood and triggered something in them? When I say they always say that about me, or people always say that to me, that's very loaded. Where does that come from? So it's worth questioning yourself at the thinking stage as well. Then once you've gone through the thinking stage again and you get to the feeling, you get to choose the feelings again as well. How do I want to feel about that? If it's true what they said, do I feel good about that? If not, maybe I want to change how I project myself onto others. Maybe I want to change how I interact with others. Maybe I want to change who I interact with and how I value what they say. Maybe I need to question why I've placed so much value on what they've said and less on the words I've given to myself. So there's so many different ways, and you can go back and forth as many times as you need to, from the end feeling back to the thinking stage, back to the words and the language that you chose, and then back again to see if you come up with a different feeling. It's a really easy process to apply, and if you'd like to learn more about the details of it and what it can do for you, or if you've got any questions about anything I said here, then please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you.